Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of the Figures and Flippy Shit Wrestling podcast where we talk about AEW and WWE and NXT. Let's just jump right in. What's the first thing we'll talk about today?
Well, I think the first thing we need to talk about is the undisputed title picture, because it's definitely the front and center story between Cody, Roman, Rock, Seth Rollins. There's a lot of players involved in this story. So on Raw, we did a lot to build this week. There was a lot of work put into it, because on Raw, we worked it from the Cody and Seth Rollins side. For Cody, he was confronted by Paul Heyman after his match with Grayson Waller. Cody's pissed. He just wants to fight somebody. He took out three, I think Paul Heyman said they were suspended police officers. So he took all of them out, told Paul Heyman he was going to be hunting the bloodline. Earlier in the night, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre had a conversation where Drew McIntyre was like, you really need to focus on me. You don't need to worry about what's going on over there. You need to worry about your show. And Rollins was like, some things are bigger than us. He was like, if we don't get rid of the bloodline now, they want power. They're going to come for the World Heavyweight title too. And they're going to be too powerful to stop at that point. So we got to do it now while we can. And Drew didn't look 100% sold on that. Which I don't blame him. I'm surprised that Rollins didn't try to pitch him because, the whole reason you started on this path was because of them. But, maybe that comes later. Maybe that's something they didn't think about. Or maybe, within the confines of the story, Rollins was like, he's not going to be interested in that. So we built over on that side. On the other side, we had The Rock and Roman Reigns. On the one hand, this took up 40 minutes of SmackDown from the first 40. You could have... Cutting entrances, you could have took it down to 30, but it's fine because what actually matters is with the content in there, we did like a 2 or 3 weeks worth of story in one go, in one promo. Because we had Roman come out, Roman didn't get the reaction that he wanted. You talked about how it used to be louder, and he was getting visibly annoyed. He told Heyman, he's like, I'm done with this place. I showed up like I was supposed to. I want to leave. And Heyman's like, well, we have to wait because The Rock's coming. So The Rock comes out, and the whole time The Rock's coming out, Roman looks like this is the last place he wants to be. And he's just super annoyed by the whole thing. So then Rock comes out, does his shtick. And Rock talked for a while, and Rock kind of talked in circles a little bit. I think what happened was he ran out of things to say and still had 5 minutes of promo to go, which is fine. It's hard to do a 40-minute segment. It's like an episode of a TV show in a promo.
Maybe
that's a
they
lot
should
to
have cut it down then, because coming from somebody that didn't watch The Rock when I was younger and wasn't nostalgic for him, so I didn't have that sentimentalness, I was like, this is lasting way too long. How many times can I hear him say the same damn thing? Yeah.
And there was a lot of people that point out that he called Seth a clown emoji like
it's like, can you not find a different... Can you not find a different name for him?
His big focus was the clown emoji with Rollins and the fact that Phoenix was all about meth. Was kind of what he focused it on.
Yeah. And I just want to point out why, parents, I have a question for you. Why are you okay hearing somebody talk about cocaine and meth on TV, but you can't let your child hear the word shit?
Who knows?
But that's just my thing. I'd rather a child hear cuss words than hear about drugs.
So after Rock ran down Phoenix, after he ran down Rollins, he got focused and he threw out a challenge for WrestleMania Night 1, which I immediately saw you react because you were like, oh no, they're taking over both nights.
And that pissed me off.
Yeah. But he threw out the challenge for Night 1 of Rollins and Cody against Roman and Rock. If Roman and Rock win, then Cody fights Roman in a Bloodline Rules match. Which means anything goes. He mentioned that, Jimmy could be the referee. Solo could sing the national anthem. Rock really went out of his way to try to pop Solo last night, which is really funny to watch. Because Solo doesn't crack very much. I think Sammy got him to crack a couple times, but he's tough to crack. But he told Cody, he said, if you guys win the tag match on Night 1, then the next night, your and Roman's match is one-on-one. There's no Jimmy. There's no Solo. There's no me. We will all... make ourselves scarce. You won't have to deal with us. And after he said that, the camera showed Roman, and Roman was like, no, we're not doing that. So that's been what's set up for the Night 1 tag match. You're worried it's going to main event Night 1. I think it might open Night 1.
I'm okay if they just don't, if they both main event, that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You're stupid for booking that if they both main event.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am so tired of Roman taking everything from the other talent.
Mm-hmm.
So tired. He doesn't even show up to work.
Yeah.
Okay, I take it back. He showed up to work the past 2 weeks, but where was he the rest of the year?
It's a good question.
So,
it's a good question.
So they better not main event the first night, or I'm going to be very upset.
I don't know that they're going to because Rock didn't say main event night 1. He just said night 1.
It's just, you have such high egos in that match. You have such high players in that match. It's going to be so easy for WWE to put that as a main event.
I tend to agree with you about that. I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being night 1's main event.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that would be kind of shitty.
Yeah. Because why have the different nights? If you're going to have the same people in the main event both nights, just do one night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. I do.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it might be a way to get people to buy tickets for both nights. Like, some people buy tickets for one night, some people buy tickets for the second night. See, it has
the opposite effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me just want to buy one night because I'm like, what's the use? You're just going to take over the first night, so why does it matter what night I go?
Yeah.
So, but that's my views on it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we weren't even done after that. The tag challenge got thrown out. So then Rock laid all the stipulations out, and he goes to do his If You Smell. And then the way they shot it was really cool because, like, they didn't telegraph it at all because The Rock just bent down to do it, and you just saw Roman's hand come over and stop him. Mm-hmm. And the crowd was into it. Like, the crowd was just like, oh no. Mm-hmm. I think it got a holy shit chant going, too.
Probably, because every time Rock's on the screen, we can't hear half the shit. So.
Yeah. He looks at Roman, he stared at Roman for a while, and Roman's just like, I'll do anything for you, but I need you to do something for me. And Roman, not in a demanding way like he does with everybody else, like he did with LA Knight or Cody Rhodes or, Jimmy Uso. No, he sounded desperate and was like, I need you to acknowledge me. And Rock did it. It took a minute to get there, but he did it.
Mm-hmm. But we had to add on to the 40 minutes.
See, I don't mind I don't mind the long pauses for effects like that.
No.
But you could have cut the entrances. We could have cut that down. We could have started with Roman in the ring. You could have used that as another layer. Roman didn't get an entrance, but Rock did. Mm-hmm. You could use that as another layer of dissension. Mm-hmm. And you could have saved 10 minutes. Because Roman takes...
It was too long. I couldn't focus for it. Mm-hmm. I was tired of hearing the same thing. If I had to hear clown emoji one more time, I think I made a comment. I was like, we get it. You think he's a clown emoji. Like, it was funny the first time you said it.
Yeah. Yeah, and despite The Rock and his catchphrases and his way to insult people, I don't know that anybody's gonna burn Seth the way Roman did when Roman told him that he walks around in his wife's clothes like he's hot shit. That's probably the best insult that's ever been hurled at Seth Rollins. Because I love when Roman gets savage, because he's good at it. Mm-hmm. So that's our world title picture. So like I said, that was a lot. It took me almost 9 minutes to go through what we did on Raw and SmackDown, just recapping it. The segments themselves combined was probably about an hour. We really put some work into building this match this week and building this story. And I think that's a capsule of what's going on in WWE right now. You and I talked about it just before we hit play on the camera. AEW has a pay-per-view on Sunday. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's later today. And WWE, WrestleMania is not for another over a month. And I feel more hyped and like there's been more build for the show that's in a month, not the one that's happening later.
Yeah, AEW just doesn't have any stories right now.
They have a couple. Like, I really like what they're doing with Swerve and Hangman, but we'll get to that later. I'm a Cody Rhodes guy. I have nostalgia for The Rock. I like Roman when he comes around, and I think they've worked Seth Rollins into this great since they had to kind of pivot away from CM Punk because of his injury. So I'm... You and Drew McIntyre just need to go somewhere, just sit and rip on CM Punk for hours. We need to find a way for that to happen for you. Because I think CM Punk may be the only, or Drew McIntyre may be one of the only people in the world that would, in character, that would rip on Punk with you. I was going to say,
not in real life.
I'm sure in real life.
In real life that would rip on that man with me, but.
Yeah. But I really like the way this has been built. It does, I understand your concern that it's monopolizing a lot of time. But I do think it's done its job in feeling like this is a world ender big match.
I agree.
Especially for a match that's a sequel.
I'm not saying I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like it's a big match. It's just I am so tired of Roman just controlling everything and being on top of everything and being the main event for everything. And now we have 2 nights of him potentially being the main event.
I saw a stat the other day. Do you know that, and this is, mind you, Hulk Hogan main evented the first 7 or 8 WrestleManias.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns has main evented 20% of all WrestleManias.
That's just stupid.
That's crazy.
No, that's stupid.
Yeah.
There are so many other wrestlers. Why did he have to main event so many?
Because he's their guy.
I don't care. I don't care.
Well, I think this has been built really well. I'm interested to see what we do next week because we treated last night like Rock wasn't going to be around for a little bit, and he's going to be back for the next 2 weeks.
I mean, I know I'm complaining. I'm not saying I don't think it's going to be good. I just hate how they're booked sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I won't enjoy the match. I'm just being a hater about how they're always around. So, well, no, they're not always around. On pay-per-views, I mean. No, premium live events, I forgot.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I think it's done its job. I think the players in it are really good. I'm interested to see what we do post-WrestleMania. If we continue with Rock and Roman, where they're going to fight at Mania 41. I have a feeling we're going to do Rock and Roman at Mania 41 and Punk and Cody at Mania 41. I kind of feel like that's where we're going. But we'll see. Let's get to this WrestleMania first.
Yes.
And the build to this one has been fun, and there's some other stories going on that I'm excited about as well.
Yes.
All right. So for AEW, you just said a few minutes ago that AEW doesn't really have any stories going on.
Of course, you're going to prove me wrong.
I would say going into Revolution, it feels like there's 3 main stories. Swerve Hangman, Sting's last match, Orange Cassidy, and the Undisputed Kingdom. Blackpool Combat Club and FTR, we've been building that for like a week because for some reason we detoured to CMLL with Blackpool Combat Club, but then I don't think it really did anything for CMLL because Blackpool Combat Club beat them in every single match they faced somebody from CLL in. So I don't know that we did much there. But my favorite story by far, and it's not just because of the people involved, I just think this has been done really well, and that's the Swerve Hangman and Samoa Joe dynamic. And I love how Swerve and Hangman feel like they could be like lifelong wrestling enemies, like another Rock and Austin, or Kurt Angle and Triple H. Like this feels like a rivalry that could be like a staple rivalry for AEW, something that they come back to and they tease later down the road. Like I feel like Hangman and Swerve, it might be that for them, especially with Kenny Omega out. And I think they've had a couple that have been that way, and this is the first one that they really seem to be taking advantage of booking it that way. Hangman's gone off the fucking deep end. Hangman came out with crutches on Dynamite and was like, I have to be pulled from the match. I'm injured. He talked about the ankle. Which, sent everybody into a debate after last week. Was it real? Was it not? Swerve came out, talked about how he didn't expect that. When he came for him, he respected his spot. And then Samoa Joe came out. Samoa Joe was like, I don't know why you two keep talking like, one of you's going to beat the other because I'm going to beat both of you. And I feel like Samoa Joe is one of the most well-spoken wrestlers out there. Like that dude just he doesn't flub. I don't know. I love hearing Samoa Joe talk and cut a promo.
Yeah.
Because it's equal parts. It's like an intelligent monster. But he came out and did all that, and then Swerve was getting the fans behind him. He was yelling whose house, and the crowd was yelling Swerve's house. And then out of nowhere, Hangman takes a crutch and just and Swerve goes down, and Hangman just beats the hell out of Swerve. And then he starts shouting at Joe. He's like, he's not going to be the champion. You're not going to be a champion. I'm going to be a champion. And Hangman Page has just lost his damn mind. Yeah. So I think what we've done is we've done a double turn here. I'm thinking out of Revolution, Hangman's going to come out of this as a heel and Swerve's going to be full-on babyface. And I think the crowd is kind of moving that way too. Hangman still has a lot of love, but I think that he'll slide into that heel role really well. That's not something that we've really seen from him since AEW started. Yeah. He was there You know, a lot of people for the first couple years said that Hangman was the main character and like the audience's perspective of what was going on in AEW. That's the storytelling that a lot of people miss from AEW and early AEW, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of theories about what will happen with this match. I've seen where people say that Hangman will tap out just to spite Swerve, so Swerve doesn't win. I don't know that I see it going that way. I have seen a lot of people that think that Joe should retain, and that Swerve should win his match in a one-on-one. I've also heard this, and this is actually my favorite reason for Joe retaining, is I've heard people say that Joe should retain because Swerve winning would be overshadowed by the Sting retirement match, and Swerve deserves his own moment to shine without something overshadowing it.
I just find it crazy that they're toting, well, not they're toting, but Swerve mentioned that he would be the first black title holder in WWE.
AEW.
Or whatever, AEW. Why not? I thought they were honestly going to do it during Black History Month. That's what I honestly thought. And at one time I was like, that's so obvious why you're doing it. But on the other hand, it's like, why not?
Do you know what's funny about that?
What?
That was the 1 month that we've had so far for the past few that AEW didn't run a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they're going to crown Swerve at Double or Nothing, which will be in the spring. It'll be after WrestleMania. I think it's usually in May. My one concern with that, and I hate that this is a concern, but it just is,
he might lose his...
I don't trust Tony to not cool him off before he gets there.
Yeah.
Because Tony Khan has a nasty habit of somebody gets super over and then they get cooled off. Daniel Garcia is Exhibit A. Yeah. When we watched that 2 out of 3 Falls match with Bryan Danielson in Charleston when we went to the show there, that crowd was lit for Danny Garcia. And then 2 months later, he's on Rampage and nothing matches. Like, Tony doesn't do very well capitalizing on the hot talent.
He doesn't do well with stories.
No. He needs somebody that can tell stories. And I think that's why they brought in that person that was like in charge of Mercedes' stories when she was in WWE. Because I wonder if Mercedes was like, you can't tell a story to save your life. So if you want me, you're going to bring in one of my people that can tell my stories.
I feel like her thing was, you're not booking the women. If you want me, you need to book the women better.
Yeah. And you can tell there's been more women featured. I don't know necessarily if we have
a story going between Sky Blue, Julia Hart. Well, Julia Hart's hurt, so that's probably going to go away. But Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. They did have that story going, but Julia Hart's hurt, so... And
we've done really well after the fact with Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo. It's Tony Khan's backward booking again. We had the match, and then we did the build. If we would have done the build first, like the video where they showed they had the matching tattoos and how they were... The video package they put together for those two is really good.
Yeah.
Tony Khan's backwards booking drives me crazy sometimes. Because we announce a match that has no heat, and then we build for it. And then by the time we get to it, we're like, okay, this is going to be good. But and I hate to compare, but with WWE, they tease something for me to get excited, and then the story comes, and then comes the match.
Yeah.
So Tony's booking style to me sometimes is a turnoff, because I'm like, I know where you want to go, but let's start with a build and then go there.
Yeah. You know? I see that.
Yeah. But, you know, I think the triple threat match is going to be really good at Revolution. I think Revolution's going to be a really good show. AEW, yes, they don't do the greatest at telling stories, but at the end of the day, Tony Khan loves to book matches, and the pay-per-view matches hardly ever disappoint.
Yeah.
So I fully expect it to be fine. Okay, so our other story that we're going with AEW, the big one, is Sting's retirement match.
I will say, I know I'm jumping ahead here.
Okay.
But the Bucks were trying to find Sting. Was it Dynamite or Collision? It was Dynamite they were trying to find Sting.
Yeah.
And they looked everywhere. And, of course, Sting outsmarted them because they were carrying the bat. And then they go into Sting's locker room. There's just a whole bunch of bats everywhere. So then they go out to the ring. And they were attacked. Oh, my God. Why is my mind blanking? They're attacking...
Darby,
yeah. And then Sting literally comes from the rafters. And let me tell you, I've never seen that before. Because, again, I didn't watch wrestling when I was younger. I was terrified for that old man coming from the rafter down to the ground.
Dude, somebody posted a video from Reddit. I had forgotten about this. There was a point in WCW where Sting descended from a helicopter like that.
What?
Yeah. Back in the day when Sting used to do that shit, it was so cool. Because he was just like, you don't know the story because you didn't watch, but I'll give you a brief history. Whenever the NWO was taking over WCW, Sting would just like stand in the rafters and just walk.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that was his thing.
And then that was his major reappearance, was one day he just jumped down from the rafters and rappelled down with a bat.
Did anybody know that he was gonna, did everybody panic when he jumped off that rafter the first time?
No.
Because nobody was
he didn't jump off of it. He was lowered from it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was really cool. Like as a kid, like I was like 12 years old when that happened. My mind was fucking blown. That made me a Sting fan for life.
Well, did you how he came from the rafter?
Oh yeah. That hit me. That hit 12-year-old me right in the feelings.
I sound like a hater. I should be best friends with Drew McIntyre, I feel like, because all that I could look at when he was coming from the rafter was how his coat wasn't on his shoulders anymore. And it was like lifted up, so his head was kind of like the turtle movie where that guy was like the turtle, whatever that was, and his head was lower in.
Yeah,
that's all I could think of when I saw Sting coming from the rafters, because his coat was up and so his head was down lower, and all I could think of was that movie, and it made me laugh.
It's ruined it.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're the same one that like they'll be like Stone Cold will be stomping someone in the corner, and you're like, he's not even hitting, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I am the person that calls that out. Like, if you wrestlers, if you go to kick somebody, and I know if a wrestler sees this, they're gonna be like, you bitch. But
probably
it's just if you're there in the stands, like front row, close up, we're gonna see you not actually kick them. So like, I'm all for actually kicking the person. So. Or at least make it look more believable that you're actually touching them. So
yeah. Well, with Sting's retirement match coming up, one of my wrestling regrets will be that I never got to see Sting live.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the run that AEW's put him on and what they've done.
They've done well with him.
We give Tony Khan a lot of shit, but he really did right by Sting, especially when we thought after Rollins buckle bonding, which I'm not saying it's Rollins' fault at all because it's not. When that happened, we all thought that was it. Sting was done.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to do it again. And now he's putting out things saying that, he's going to do some crazy shit at Revolution.
Terrifying to me.
I mean, Sting's going to go out. He's going to go out hard.
Because he's not old in like real life time, but in wrestling time, he's old.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's amazing, like, you look at him, and he's in his 60s, and you look at, like, The Undertaker in his 50s who can barely get around.
Yes.
Kane, who kind of lumbers around. Even...
How old's Shawn Michaels?
Shawn Michaels is in his 50s. Triple H is in his 50s. Like,
yeah.
It's insane that he's gotten here.
How old is Ric Flair? 120?
Ric Flair just turned 75.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's the same age as my father.
Yeah. Yeah. Now imagine your dad out there doing Ric Flair antics. Like,
oh my God.
but no, it's been quite a career for Sting, and I'm glad that he's going to go out the way that he wants to. And I know a lot of people are very like, oh, he picked the Bucks. Why did he pick the Bucks?
It's his
Fuck
choice.
it, let him pick.
He had fun wrestling them.
Yeah.
So let him do his thing.
And plus, we've gotten a pretty fun version of the Bucks because they are absolute fucking dickholes.
They are literally taking everything that you guys are saying about them and incorporating it into their characters.
They've done that
right
forever, haven't they?
They have.
That's been like their MO.
It is. So like everything you guys are saying about them being EVPs, they're literally like, I feel like they know it and they're just incorporating that into their thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know what? we're just gonna be more annoying then.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw this in your face.
Yeah. But I think it'll be a fun match. I do think the tag titles being on the line kind of makes and the fact that Sting's retirement match kind of makes the results known.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if Sting retired from AEW undefeated, but at the same time, I don't.
You can't do that.
That puts you at a dead end with the tag titles, unless Darby vacates them, which would be kind of stupid.
Not do that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not like the biggest Bucks fan, but I feel like if I was a wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
I would have their gimmick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
every mean, because I'm petty.
Yeah.
So every mean thing that somebody would say about me,
Mm-hmm.
I would make that into, like, incorporate that into my gimmick. Could you not see me doing that?
I could.
So I can relate to the Young Bucks on that, because I bet they're petty. I am too. So I would do the same thing.
See, I think I understand, like I said, I know I just said that Sting picked the Bucks, it should be his choice. But if it were me, I had this thought last night, and I just wanted to put it out there because I want to get your reaction to it because I think you'd like it. What if, instead of the Bucks, it was Christian Cage and Nick Wayne doing it, and the whole stick was Christian Cage told Sting and Darby, we're going to show you what a real father-son team can do.
That would have been better, but it wasn't our choice. So
no, but
I would have liked that better.
I'm going to put that in the what if bin.
Yeah, that would have been.
And honestly,
better. And nothing against the Bucks.
And honestly, when Christian was feuding with Darby, that avenue was right there.
It was, yeah.
But
yeah.
And plus, you had the Sting and the Darby and Nick Wayne connection. Oh, what would have been? What we're going to get is going to be fine. But man, what could have been?
Really had fun working with the Bucks.
Yeah, and I get it. I get it. I'll just put that one in the forever. Oh man, what could have been with that?
Yeah,
we'll put that over there. But on the flip side, I am really glad that Danny Garcia is getting a high-profile match with Christian Cage.
Yes.
So going back over to SmackDown. Our other Royal Rumble winner, we've given a lot of attention to Cody. We gave a lot of attention to Becky, who won the Elimination Chamber, Drew, who won the Elimination Chamber. But the one that is kind of the understory and isn't even being put on the WrestleMania banners, which actually starting to piss people off, is Bayley.
Bayley keeps getting forgotten about.
Bayley's getting the shaft.
Bianca Belair gets put on things,
which is crazy because as a Cody dude, I was more excited that Bayley won the Royal Rumble.
Well, it's kind of predictable about Cody,
especially
when Punk was hurt.
I thought Cody was going to win the Chamber and Punk was going to win the Rumble.
Well, Punk got hurt before the Rumble.
He got hurt in the Rumble.
He did?
Yeah.
I don't remember him being in the... Well, I kind of...
Him and Cody were the final two.
I tried to tune out his success.
God. We really need to get you with Drew McIntyre. But anyway. Yeah, I really hate how we're kind of doing Bayley dirty.
Poor Bayley, she was one of your 4 horsewomen. Like, you toted her.
Honestly, with as much as Damage Control was shown, we really could have built this to be a possible night 1 main event.
Yeah.
We could have. There was enough story there to work with.
There was.
And video packages for fucking days.
And they're doing a good job. Like,
yes,
the girls,
when they get on screen, the story's good.
Yes.
You know, we had the tag match last night of Dakota and Bayley against the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah.
And I told you since last week, I said, I don't trust Dakota. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. And what happened? Bayley goes, it was the old Ric Flair tag. Because I think he did to Sting once. Probably a couple times. I think somebody counted that Ric Flair has turned on Sting 4 times in his career. Which they teased it for this, but then Ric Flair ended up fighting the Bucks off. But
yeah.
Bayley went to tag Dakota for the hot tag, and Dakota just hopped off the apron. And as soon as she did that, I looked at you and I said, that bitch, I knew it. And I probably shouldn't have called her a bitch, but she was being heel. I think it's warranted. And Bayley just looked so broken. She was like, oh,
I knew it.
She was like, yeah, Bayley was suspicious, and she was right to be.
Yeah.
And then Bayley got her ass handed to her by all 4 of them. And what was really funny that people pointed out in the comments was the ref just kind of left, and no one rang the bell to end the match. Like, it just kind of
forgot.
It just the ref dipped, and we just kind of played out this beatdown.
See, I get that Mercedes Moné is going to AEW, but I even said whenever we were watching the show, I was like, this would be the perfect time for Sasha Banks to come back and be her friend and be Bayley's friend.
That was littered throughout all the comments.
Yeah.
Was like, man, it's a shame that WWE wouldn't pay Mercedes because this would have...
the perfect time for her to be that friend.
Yeah, because somebody said they could have brought her back at Mania.
Yes.
Like...
Yeah.
And told the story of Bayley having no friends and then a lifeline comes in.
Yes.
I'm very interested to see how Bayley gets through this because Bayley has spent so much time making enemies, she has no friends.
Yeah.
Which I like that they've done that. They haven't forgotten that Bayley's been shitty to people.
Yes.
That's one of the things that's been nice about the storytelling getting better is, like, we're not just flying by the seat of our pants. Like, we have actually teased, you know, she has no friends because she made it that way.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested for the match. I think Bayley and Io will do really well. I think it's going to be They're both really good. I think it's going to be a sleeper good match. I think it's a match that a lot of people were like, yeah, it'll be good. But I think it's going to be a lot better than people were thinking.
I hope Bayley goes out and shows out and she's like, you need to start putting more respect on my name.
I agree.
You need to respect me more.
Yeah, and Bayley ate a lot of pins this year to get to this moment. So I'm thrilled to death for her. I really like Bayley. I've liked Bayley for a long time.
I know. I liked her as a face. Well, she was a little too facey for me. Well, not too face, but you know what I mean. Like too much of a face.
Yeah.
And I like heels more, so I've liked Bayley's run as a heel.
And she transitioned to a heel very well. A lot of people were questioning about it, and she ended up being really good. She was one of the bright spots of pandemic wrestling.
I forget that she was a big baby face before.
Yeah.
Because she's done so well.
A lot of people forget, too. She had the SmackDown Women's Championship pretty much throughout the entire pandemic.
Oh, man.
She had it for, I think, over a year.
Oh, man. I don't know if I knew that, actually.
We stopped watching during the pandemic because it was just too weird.
Well,
It was. Like, pandemic wrestling it didn't feel like wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy for Bayley. I think this story's been told really well. I do think that it's kind of getting the shaft as far as not being treated as one of the bigger stories like it should be. Like, honestly, I understand Rhea Ripley's really big. I understand that Becky Lynch is really big. I understand they haven't fought in 4 years. And this is a big moment for them. But I'm sorry, there's much more story with Io and Bayley.
Agreed.
There's a lot more story there.
Agreed.
And
there's no story with Bianca, and Bianca's popping up on things.
Yeah. I just really want to see this. I really want to see this match defy expectations, and I want to see Bayley kind of take that back and say, hey, just because Charlotte's gone, Mercedes is in another company, and Becky Lynch is over there doesn't mean that I'm not still big shit too.
I agree. She needs to show out.
Yeah, and I think she will.
Bring us some of that NXT Bayley.
I think we're going to see it.
Yeah.
I am very excited for Bayley and Io. It's one of my matches that I'm looking forward to that I think a lot of people are forgetting is even happening.
Which is a shame.
It is.
It is a shame.
It is. So let's talk about NXT for a little bit. NXT, and this was pointed out too by Tony D'Angelo, the NXT title scene has felt very limited for most of the year. It's been Ilya, it's been Carmelo, it's been Trick, it was Braun Breaker for like a month. And I saw where some people thought that Tony D'Angelo kind of came out of nowhere into this story.
But they were hinting at it the week before.
I agree. And I like that Tony D'Angelo's in here and Tony D'Angelo is saying these things because I think we needed that pointed out because NXT has a lot of really good talent, but they haven't really felt like they've put anybody at that level to be a decent challenger.
Yeah.
It's very much felt like a 3-horse race. But anyway, Carmelo wanted a shot at Ilya. So he said, if you're not bringing a contract for a title match, I don't even want to talk to you. And Ilya was like, fine, we can do that. He went and talked to Ava, which Ava's been doing pretty good as the GM. I like her.
Yeah. I've said some very harsh things about her when she was wrestling. But as a manager, or GM, yes. I think she's doing a good job.
Yeah,
she has no issues getting involved in things and like breaking stuff up.
Yeah, they found a really good role for her. I'm happy for her that they did that.
And that's helping her also with her mic skills because sometimes
it is. She's coming across less stiff.
Yes.
I think it's definitely doing its job.
She's getting more comfortable. Yeah.
I wonder if she'll ever, if wrestling for her is still something that's going to be there or if this is more of what her lane's going to be.
I don't know.
I don't know either. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Because she's got the Rock connection, so she'll probably be able to do whatever she wants to do.
My guess is she's probably still practicing wrestling at while she's doing this.
I would say probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had Tony D'Angelo come out. Tony D'Angelo threw out a challenge to Carmelo Hayes for a match at Roadblock. Whoever wins gets Ilya at Stand and Deliver. And I think what might happen here is I think we're going to go with Tony D and Ilya for Stand and Deliver because we got a month that we can build it. And I think that's plenty of time.
Yeah.
And I think Trick comes back next week and costs Mello.
At Roadblock.
At Roadblock. And at Stand and Deliver, we get Trick and Mello.
Yeah. I just want Trick to come back.
He will. He will.
I'm done with him being gone.
They're letting that absence grow so when he comes back, he gets that monster pop.
I'm over it.
Yeah,
I want him back.
When he comes back to Cosmello, people are gonna lose their shit.
I thought you said Cosmella first, and I was like, "What are you talking
Cosmello.
about?" Oh,
but that's a fun story that's going on. I don't even have that written down. The two things I want to talk about is number one, the Good Brothers are now in the NXT tag division, and that tag division's starting to get pretty solid. I like Frazier and Axiom. I like Chase U. I like the Good Brothers. I love Braun and Corbin together.
I don't like Gallus, but that's like the one person I think is a snooze fest. But
yeah, they seem to be embroiled kind of with Rich Holland anyway.
OTM.
Yeah.
There's 2 tag teams, I guess. I'm just like, ugh.
But I like how the family has kind of cycled out since they lost their title to Tony D going for the big title. And I really honestly I feel like Stax is coming along to where I don't want to say it would be a rehash of Trick and Mello, but I could see them doing something with Tony D and Stax down the road. I could see that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I need that in NXT or if that's something we could do on the main roster. I don't know. That's thinking way ahead.
Yeah, you're way ahead of yourself.
I am. But I like how the NXT tag division is coming together, and all of these dudes I'm interested in watching fight Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin are a combo that I didn't know I needed that I'm so glad that I have.
Yeah. They're very fun together.
And this week on NXT, we had a title change. We've had a couple of them. So the North American Championship is still with Obafemi. Dragon Lee has disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. He's not on SmackDown. I don't know. He's not on SmackDown or NXT. But Noam Dar went down. So the no quarter catch crew threw out the challenge where they said, you're not going to know till the day of the match who you're fighting. And of course, Noam made a big stink about that. And honestly, I can't blame Noam. I would make a big stink too. And it was cool because different people stepped up and got teased. And the crowd popped huge when it was Charlie Dempsey that ended up taking the match. And then Charlie Dempsey won. What was really cool is he got his first pin within the first 2 minutes of the first round. And everybody was like, oh, that's
Dar
fun.
Was so mad fighting the rest of the time.
The rest of the match, Noam Dar was very aggressive.
He was.
Which is really cool that Noam did that because he has a style where usually a lot of interference.
Yeah.
And Vic Joseph did a great. Vic Joseph kills it on NXT.
He does.
He crushes it on NXT. And he even pointed out, he was like, Oro's doing overtime because Metaphors used to having the numbers not being outnumbered. And so that ended up playing a factor.
Yeah.
There just wasn't enough Oro Mensa to go around. And Charlie Dempsey ended up taking the cup.
Yeah.
And I remember what happened last time Noam Dar lost his cup. And I am ready.
He went into a depression.
I'm ready for Noam to have a fucking nervous breakdown again.
Yes.
I'm waiting. I'm ready for the bucket hats and wheelchairs and depression. I'm ready for it. Injected in my veins. Noam Dar is low-key one of the funniest dudes in NXT.
He is.
And I love
Metaphor.
I love that online Metaphor's starting to get their flowers.
They're just now getting their flowers?
It took a lot of people some time to warm up to them, but over the past...
How did you not love them instantly?
Over the past month or so, they've really... there's people that are saying that Metaphor is what they look most forward to on NXT.
How have you not been looking forward to them this whole time?
I think it's because they were always kind of goofy.
Oh.
But
that's right. I forgot people poo-poo goofy wrestling sometimes.
But...
Can't have fun in wrestling.
Right. I guess. But yeah, I think Metaphor's killing it. I wonder if if Noam's going to go up, because Noam's been in NXT forever. He was in the old NXT UK. He was on 205 Live. Remember when he was Alicia Fox's boyfriend?
Yes.
We've gone on quite the journey.
And
with
he had
Noam Dar.
the short hair. And he looks like a different person now.
He does. He looks like
he was Supernova. Is he still Supernova?
Yeah, he's still Supernova 11. Yeah.
Okay.
I really like Noam Dar. I'm interested to see what he does. I don't know if he's gonna go to the main roster now that he's lost his Heritage Cup. But I think he could have some fun on the main roster with some people.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him, I would love to see the dynamic of, him and Gunther. Or, just a random tear shit up match with Seth Rollins or something like that. I'm excited for Noam Dar to go forward.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what Charlie Dempsey does with the Heritage Cup. And I think the Heritage Cup going from Noam Dar to a group that is overly obsessed with
perfection.
Yes, I think is a great place for that to land. That's a great stable to hold that.
Yeah.
Especially going from the goofiness of Metaphor to that, I think is a great transition. And I'm very excited. NXT continues to crush it. And I say it every week. If you're not watching NXT, you're missing out. Go check out and go find something that you like.
Yes,
it's developmental. Yes, there's a lot of people on there that still need tweaking. That's why they're there. There's a lot of stories that are kind of out of left field. There is a lot of throwing at the wall and seeing what sticks, but the stuff that sticks is usually really fun.
Mm-hmm. It's entertaining.
It is. So I want to wrap up discussion today going back to Gunther, because we were talking about Noam Dar and Gunther. So our Intercontinental title picture. So Gunther came out on Raw this week.
Yes.
And and I love that he gave Jey Uso his flowers. He was like, he did almost beat me. I actually thought I was going to lose.
I did too, Gunther.
And then he got this shit-eating grin on his face. And he was like, but I didn't. So I'm almost perfect. But I really love what Gunther does. Gunther for me is an instant, I want to know what he's doing all the time. So he comes out and he starts teasing people. He's like, I look online. He's like, I don't stay offline. I know you've mentioned, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable,
even
The Miz,
R-Truth.
R-Truth, which got a huge pop. And then after mentioning all of those people, the Judgment Day came out, and we kind of had a back and forth with him and Priest, and Dom kind of stepped up, and Dom was like, I'll fight you, Gunther. And I love that literally they went backstage later, and Rhea Ripley just went up and was like, Dom, seriously? Her words were Gunther of all people. Come on. And I like that we kind of teased some dissension there, because Finn Balor was even like, Dom, you need to go talk to Rhea and work that out. That did not go the way you needed it to go. I know when I told you that, you were like, no. And I was like, we're a long way away.
Yeah.
We're a ways away from that. Dom is still firmly planted in shitheel country. But I do think it's interesting that you don't see Rhea with the Judgment Day as much now.
You don't.
And honestly, it feels like when she's not with them, it does feel like a big part's missing. Mm-hmm. You know what they kind of feel like? They kind of feel like over the summer when we would get the appearances of the Bloodline without Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
It's like Rhea Ripley adds to the threat factor the way that Roman adds to it for the Bloodline. Mm-hmm. And when she's gone, they just don't feel as threatening.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's an indictment on the Judgment Day so much as it is a compliment to Rhea Ripley and her presence. Because, it's, I don't mean to sound like, old, but, my generation of wrestling, women didn't command presence like that.
Women were in the kitchen during his day.
That's not what I mean. I mean, women weren't part of.
I know what you mean.
They weren't part of factions, and if they were the side piece. They were the eye candy.
They were in lingerie.
They were the Trish Stratus to Test and Albert, just kind of there to look at. And Rhea Ripley feels like she's the backbone of the Bloodline or of the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So I think that's a testament to Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley's not even 30 yet.
No.
Rhea Ripley could go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. I think she'll eclipse Charlotte Flair.
I think her and I think Tiffany Stratton could easily eclipse Charlotte Flair if they let her.
I think Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton is a war that we could see for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Gunther, who we started with. So that ended up in kind of a shoving match between Priest and Gunther, because Gunther just kind of pushed Dom away like a fly, because that's what you do with Dom. And then Bronson Reed called in to Adam Pearce. He's home with his new baby, and he's talking about how he wants in the match, and I can't help it. I'm starting to get a whiff in the air of a multi-man ladder match for the Intercontinental title, and I am fucking on board if we're doing it with that group.
Yeah.
I mean, give me Gable, Jey Uso's not going to be in it because Jey's going to be fighting with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. That's the match that should happen. Those two won it. I think they've earned it. Mm-hmm. But I think on the flip side, in the Intercontinental ladder match, I think you've got Gunther, you've got Bronson Reed, you've got Chad Gable, you've got The Miz. Throw R-Truth in there for shits and giggles. Why not? He teased it. You could put Ivar in there. You could put together a pretty decent 6-person roster.
We don't have to include Ivar, because then we'll have to see Valhalla.
Maybe, but that also might result in Valhalla going to a table. Or a ladder.
I'd like that.
I think Priest gets in there. Mm-hmm. I think there's a shot that happens.
How many people are going to be in there? There's usually 8?
7 or 8. 7 or 8. If we do the ones I just mentioned, that puts us at 7. And I don't think I've forgotten anybody that he mentioned. Sami Zayn. Mm-hmm. Let's take out Ivar, put in Sami Zayn.
Okay, I agree with that. Yeah.
So there's your 7.
Yeah.
There's your 7. And I think that match would be fun. And I'm going to be real honest. I think Gunther should retain.
I do too.
I think Gunther should lose his title in a one-on-one match.
I agree. He's put in more work than Roman ever has with his title, so he deserves to do a one-on-one match.
And do you know who I think it should be?
I don't know. You've said so many different names, too.
Ilya Dragunov. He did it in NXT. I think he should do it on the main roster, too.
No.
I
think there's more deserving people on the main roster right now.
Who would you pick?
I don't know. It could be anybody but somebody that's not on NXT.
What about Sami Zayn?
I'm fine with that. I just don't want somebody in NXT currently to come in and take this title from people that are on the main roster that could get that title.
I saw a lot of people commenting they want Braun to do it.
No. I don't want that either. I want people that have been there a while to get that title.
Yeah.
No offense to Braun and Ilya, but no. Not yet.
I feel like by WrestleMania next year, Braun will probably have the U.S. title.
I'm okay with having a title then. It's just not right now.
Yeah.
No.
They definitely, they had Braun on SmackDown, and he hit one spear on the dude that he was fighting, Zion Quinn, and ended the match there. And Braun Breaker is so entertaining to me. I love watching him wrestle. He's so fast. He's got so much power. And it looks like his spear could legit kill people.
Yeah.
It literally, watching him give a spear makes my ribs hurt.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's most of what's going on with wrestling this week. So like I said, AEW's got their...
Look who made an appearance.
right at the end.
Hi, baby.
So we've got Revolution going on tomorrow. I think we're in for a good show. I think Sting's going to leave it all in the ring. I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be emotional for a lot of people. I don't think there's going to be a dry eye in the house. You remember when Roman and Undertaker fought at Mania 33 and Undertaker left his stuff behind?
Oh my God, I cried. I cried.
Yeah. I think that could happen with Sting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
what
of course...
What will he leave behind his coat?
His bat. Oh, if he leaves anything.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
If he leaves anything.
Oh, I guess he doesn't have to leave something.
I also agree with people that have said that Sting should, if Darby does end up taking the world title, Sting should absolutely be there to witness it. But I think there's going to be a lot of emotion there. And of course, WWE is cooking on their way to WrestleMania. NXT's cooking, going to Stand and Deliver. So it's a really good time to be a wrestling fan right now. There's stuff out there for everybody. If you're not into WWE and AEW, you've got Ring of Honor that airs on Thursdays. You've got Athena crushing it down there. You've got your New Japan. AEW's got some faces coming in. Okada has essentially been confirmed as coming in. Will Ospreay made his debut this week on Dynamite.
So funny.
And yeah, I'm really excited to see more Will Ospreay.
Bruv.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get more Will Ospreay because I don't get to watch a lot of New Japan. It's not very accessible for me. So I'm very excited to see what Will Ospreay brings to AEW. So yeah, it's a good time. Leave in the comments something that you like that's going on. Any questions that you have for us that you want us to cover in the next episode. Give us a like and subscribe. It does help the channel.
Yes. And I think we should shout out Zoe, who is awesome and comments on every single one of our videos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shout out there.
Yes.
All right. So we will see you guys next week. Enjoy wrestling.
Later.
Did you like that video? Like, subscribe, and comment to the Figures and Flippy Shit Wrestling Podcast. Oh, yeah.